Welcome to the very first episode of Alumni Angle, a new podcast where we recognize extraordinary achievements of alumni within our Manhasset community. I'm Adriana Chan, and for today we have a very special guest joining us for our very first episode. A Silver M and Louis Armstrong recipient for the class of 2020, captain of the varsity crew team, leader of multiple honor societies, and my very own brother, Luke Chan has paved his name into the list of notable Manhasset alumni. A passionate and dedicated student, musician, and athlete, he has checked off all boxes in every category to excel into the well-rounded man he has become today. Planning to graduate from Princeton University with a major in politics this upcoming May, he's here to join us on his diverse journey throughout high school, lining him up for immense success. Hi, Luke. Welcome to Alumni Angle. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Adriana. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on today. So we know that you're a senior at Princeton and you just submitted your thesis. Can you share with us a few tips or a few stories of success in academics you've had in high school that set you up for success in Princeton?
Yeah, it's a great question. You're right. Thanks for mentioning that. Just submitted my thesis. Now I have a lot left on my plate. That was probably the hardest academic task I've ever had to do in my life. And I think there were a lot of skills that I developed in high school that allowed me to conquer such a big task. For some background, every senior at Princeton has to write a senior thesis. It's about 100 pages of independent research that you do throughout the entire year on top of your regular coursework. So it's not something that is easy, but it's something that you are proud of after you complete it. And it's a long writing task, as you can imagine. So the writing skills I developed and the research skills I developed when I was in high school were most important for that. I had a great teacher in 11th grade, my English teacher, who really helped me learn how to write research papers better. I ended up submitting that research paper that I wrote on something about climate change or something about reducing the amount of water or plastic we use in our daily lives. And, that was something like a 5 or 6 page paper. It's pretty short, but that's what I ended up submitting to Princeton as my independent research writing. I think if it wasn't for that class, I would not have felt as confident doing research and writing. Learned how to read and find resources as well through that class, and really grateful to my teacher for all that. And she ended up writing a recommendation for me too. So if it wasn't for those skills, I don't think I would have made it this far at Princeton.
I get that. My English class, we also just finished writing a poetry research paper. And my English teacher was mentioning how many students are thankful that they get to write a research paper before they go off to college, because now they have the skills and they know how to already write one so that they're not freaking out before having to write their own for college.
Yeah, and poetry research paper, that's kind of interesting. I was never really someone that loved writing poetry. I took a lot of advanced classes, but actually writing skills were my biggest weakness leading up to, my final years of high school. And that's why I think it was especially important that I had a great English department and great English teachers that really pushed me and showed me how to read more inquisitively and write with more detail and better for my audience. I mostly excelled in math and science growing up, but developed a passion for, history and social studies and psychology and all those social sciences in high school. Taking those sorts of classes like AP Psych and world history and U.S. history, economics. So those classes really inspired me to pursue a politics degree in college. And I recommend that everybody tries to take a diverse course load in high school, because you never know what you like until you try it. And you don't want to end up trying something too late. And in high school, it's still super early, so you can always learn and figure out what you want to do, especially when you're taking more than 6 classes a year. Yeah. And you have a lot of great teachers to support you.
Is there a certain class that is memorable to you?
Oh yeah. I mean, so many classes are memorable to me. My 7th grade earth science teacher in class, that really taught me how to work hard and really helped me fall in love with science more. My economics class really exposed me to a new world of learning that I never knew of before. And that really helped me with my introductory economics classes when I came to Princeton, which is famous for the econ department. History classes gave me a wider perspective on the world and what has come before us. But all my classes really has shaped me, and especially my teachers and my classmates. So hard to choose just one.
You mentioned before that you were in part of a lot of advanced classes. How did you balance those academics with your extracurriculars as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's something that people still struggle with in college, and especially adults too. So it's not something that's easy to figure out, especially in high school. As you mentioned, I did a lot of academics, but also a lot of extracurriculars, and I didn't sleep that much at times, and there were a lot of weekends that I had to travel with the run team or travel to perform for concerts, things like that. the best piece of advice is you have to do the things that you're passionate about and things that you enjoy, because that way, you won't feel as much of a pain when you're doing them, and you'll have enough energy and stamina to keep doing other things that you have to do. I didn't take the advanced classes in every subject, just the subjects that I knew that I could excel in and that I really enjoyed. So math and science initially, and then English and econ later on. So being strategic and doing the things that you love and the things that you're good at, and also just having systems in place. Now I was fortunate to have, the rowing practice right after school, and I could do homework in between the last bell and going to practice, and don't waste time scrolling through Instagram and TikTok. And that's something I say seriously. Very anti using social media for many hours a day. It's easy to get trapped into using it. So set aside a few hours of deep focus and get enough sleep. I might be a little hypocritical because I didn't sleep as much, but I think if I didn't do the habits I needed, then it would have been much worse. And always seek help when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
So go to office hours, or I don't know what they call it in high school anymore, just extra help before and after school. Email your teachers, ask for extensions when you need it. Talk to your friends when you need help with figuring out a topic. Don't be a hero. Don't do everything on your own. That's going to be how life is too. You got to figure out how to be resourceful. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's a long answer, but
that's good. I think that's a piece of advice that a lot of high schoolers are, afraid to take the next step in, asking for help when they need it. A lot of kids don't bother to think of that.
A lot of adults don't know how to do that too. So the earlier you can figure out how to do it, the better.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that one piece of advice for you is to always do something that you're passionate in. But I guess for a lot of high schoolers, it's finding what activity that they're passionate in. So can you tell us a little bit about how, you picked up rowing or other activities that you're passionate in?
Yeah, that's actually a great question, Adriana, because, I should clarify that. I was fortunate enough to have, parents that supported me and exposed me to a lot of different extracurriculars when I was young, to music and jazz and classical music, and also different sports like baseball, soccer, and ultimately rowing. You just have to try everything, try every sport, try every instrument and music and art there is. I obviously didn't do everything that there was in the entire world, but if you try multiple things in each category, chances are you'll find something that you really like. My North Star isn't that you should do everything just to get into college, but you should do things that will make you a better person, mm-hmm. and things that you would want to keep doing after you graduate. Because it's not worth it to just do something just for the sake of doing it. Mm-hmm. And then once you graduate college, you're never going to do it again, because then you could have done something else that you actually would have enjoyed. For example, I played baseball for a long time. I knew it wasn't the sport that I loved, so I gave it up and tried soccer, and I loved soccer. I kept playing soccer. I fell in love with rowing too, and so soccer kind of became like my second sport that I did for fun, and rowing one that I really enjoyed, being in a big team and getting to travel. So that's my piece of advice: is try everything you can and figure out which group of people you enjoy being with. Each activity has a different culture. See where you feel comfortable and where you can grow and where you have the most support. And ask yourself, do I want to keep doing this if I have to do this for the rest of my life? And I can confidently say that I have wanted to do trumpet and rowing for the rest of my life if I could have. I think that's a good tester for figuring out if that's something you're passionate about.
Is there any activity that, you wish you stayed with or you would like to try if you got to redo high school?
Yeah, I would have liked to do musical theater. Now I look at my younger sister and aka you, and I see that, you're having a lot of fun doing theater and you're on stage, and I think it's probably helped you with confidence, and you get to be someone else and turn, written word into a performance. That's different from playing an instrument or doing a sport. And I think that would have been something I would have liked to try. One of my weaknesses, I think, is still, public speaking and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Something I think that I've been working on for a long time, and I imagine that being on stage can help develop that confidence, and also seems really fun. Seems like a great group of kids. Would have been something cool to try.
I agree. It definitely does help with confidence and, learning life skills. But moving on from your extracurriculars, a lot of high schoolers struggled in what to do with their summer. When school is out, they have so much free time. Is there something that resonated with you over the summer that, you would give as a piece of advice, or a program you would like to mention to high schoolers?
Yeah, I can share a little bit about my summers. I did a great program through Johns Hopkins called CTY, Center for Talented Youth. For 3 weeks each summer, you take a course and learn something that you wouldn't usually learn, or it can help you prepare for high school classes too. That was really great for meeting a lot of new people from around the country and making really good memories over my summers, like a normal summer camp, but a little bit the flavor of academics. I recommend doing something out of your comfort zone. If there are any parents listening, Summers are challenging because, you don't have the normal school schedule, but there are plenty of things that your kids can do to continue growing and expanding their horizons. Community service is one great thing that I think students should do. I spent a couple weeks each summer going to Bolivia with a volunteer group and helping build houses. And I got to speak using the Spanish I learned in high school with a lot of the local people there and made a lot of great memories being part of the community there and exploring a new country that is completely different from my hometown, and completely different from the US, especially like night and day. So that is something that really widens your perspective. So something that's completely non-academic, but I think will help you grow in many different ways. And you can do things locally too. The first summer of college, I went back home to my hometown and helped out, at a local summer camp there and volunteered, and that, also opens your eyes up to new things. There are a lot of awesome summer programs out there too at different universities. So I recommend taking a look at those. A lot of them are free too. Many opportunities, it's just a matter of pushing your comfort zone, trying new things that you wouldn't normally do. Don't be afraid to try something new.
I think that's what holds a lot of high schoolers back, is stepping out of that comfort zone.
I mean, if you never leave your comfort zone in high school, don't expect yourself to leave your comfort zone when you're 22 or 25, or especially when you're 30 and older. When you're young, take a risk. You're not gonna regret taking some risk when you're 15. You're not gonna regret it when you're 20 either or 22. But the earlier you can push yourself, the more confident and more you'll know going forward.
You say for like students not to have any regrets. Do you ever regret in high school? If you could change or do differently?
At the end of the day, everything I did helped me get to where I am now, and I'm very happy where I am now. And this is kind of like a cop-out answer, but you work hard, you spend a lot of hours working hard, you don't sleep a lot. Sometimes people regret doing that. I mean, I don't, but I actually don't regret doing that. It made me into the person I am now, and I don't think I would have gained anything from going to an extra party or two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no answers for that one, which I think is a good sign.
Like, you have some crazy study habits, being able to study for that long and so hard and studious. Do you think if you didn't have as rigorous study prep, you probably wouldn't have excelled as much in your academics in Princeton?
Yeah, I think study habits are very important. I'm a big proponent of habits in general. There are several studies that talk about how humans are habit-driven people. It becomes easier and easier to do things that we do repeatedly. If you scroll through your phone every single day and look at Instagram for many, many hours a day, it's going to be even easier to do that next day and the next day after that. I think the biggest challenge for your generation is figuring out how can we escape that trap. And it ebbs and flows. You have to do things that help you recharge so you can put in more work. So, doing sports and doing music actually were pretty recharging for me, despite, the physical toll that it took on me. But if you put in only a couple hours of hard work, then it's much better than putting in 8 hours of terrible work. Mm-hmm. And setting up your environment so that you can best succeed is an important tip too, because your environment dictates how you work.
So moving on from your extracurriculars, obviously a thing that seniors, are always stressed for in high school is college apps. Is there a tip or something that helped you get through college apps?
Yeah, I mean, the essays are the most important part. You have to choose schools that you think you would want to be at, that have programs that you're interested in. And so do your research on the schools, because that's where you're going to spend 4 years at. The essays are really important because that's pretty much the only thing that's not a number that schools get to see. And realize that it's another human being is reading your application. Someone is sitting there looking at your essay and reading it and thinking, is this the type of person that we want to accept and bring into our community? One, is it someone that we think is going to excel academically, which is what your transcript and SAT and all those kind of things do. But also, is it someone that can be a vibrant member of the community and contribute to extracurriculars, right? If someone reads that you're a musician, then they might think that you might want to join the music groups, or if they see that you're someone who does the sports, then maybe you're going to play club sports or something like that. So showcase what it is about you, that your personality, your character traits, your interests, that this is pretty generic, that are going to make you a nice member of the community. Be specific, show, don't tell, right? Mm-hmm. Show them examples and cases where you had to showcase your leadership or your traits, working with people and being a part of a group or a club or something like that. And there's plenty of people that it can help you, can read your papers to, like even your guidance counselor, your English teacher. Don't be afraid to ask for help either.
I guess a lot of high schoolers, they struggle on finding a college that works for them. What stood out in Princeton to you that was like, oh, Princeton might be the next 4 years for me?
It's funny that you asked that, because the first time I toured Princeton, I was touring a lot of different schools, and Princeton was actually the only one that I'd said in my head that I'm not going to go there after they told me I have to write a 100-page thesis. So it's actually the one that I had the least desire to go to. But after doing some more research to Princeton and learning about their politics and now SPIA department, which is the School of Public International Affairs, and the strong study abroad program and Spanish departments and all the different extracurriculars, a cappella groups and community service groups, I actually felt like I had a lot of similarities to the things that they offered there and the strengths of the programs. And one of the things I was trying to do was see if I can join a rowing team at any of these schools. And I emailed a lot of different schools, trying to get in contact with the coaches. And the only school that got back to me with a positive note, even though I was certainly not qualified to join the varsity team, was Princeton. They sent the head coach of the rowing team actually wrote a handwritten letter to me, expressing that if I went to Princeton that I could join the rowing team as a walk-on and telling me a little bit about what the team was up to. To me, that was very personable and very welcoming. And I ended up applying early to Princeton, early action, and it's been the best 4 years of my life, I think. So definitely don't regret that.
Mm-hmm. And I think that just shows the benefits of reaching out and finding as many resources as you can to figure out where your next 4 years are going to be.
Yeah, and in hindsight, Princeton actually ended up being a good choice because similar to our hometown, small town with close-knit community, Princeton is just like that. It's not in the big city. It's people stay on campus and hang out all the time, and the town is nice and quaint. Having the familiarity with that kind of environment helped me feel comfortable here, as opposed to being in a big city, which I think makes a bigger difference than people think.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in college right now?
Yeah, I've had a time at Princeton. I'm sad that it's so close. I have about a month left. Yeah, the experience were fantastic. I learned way more than I ever had in my life. In these 4 years, I took a lot of different classes. I learned a lot of different clubs while I was here and got to mix and match and try a bunch of different things. And I'm in an a cappella group that I've been in for 4 years. Actually, one of our high school alums who was at Princeton told me to join the group. So it's cool to see how, being in touch with people who went to your high school that also go to your college and open new doors for you. So, did a lot of intramural sports and dabbled in a bunch of different activities and studied abroad, which was fantastic, and got to travel around Europe for a long time and learn the different education system thanks to the good program that Princeton has with other schools. And the thesis was a daunting task and did a lot of independent research, but ended up being one of the proudest things that I've done and made a lot of fantastic friends. I joined a lot of social groups and had a lot of fun with everyone, and I'm going to miss this place. I had a lot of great mentors and professors, and I really can't hype up Princeton enough. It's a fantastic place to be and to learn and to grow. And if you're lucky enough to get accepted, then you should definitely come here.
I still can't believe you're in part of an a cappella group.
Yeah, don't ask me to sing.
Solo time. So, as you're a senior in Princeton, you graduate in a month. Do you have any future plans?
Yeah, I'll be back in New York, in the city, working for a management consulting firm, which I'm excited about. Actually just found out that my start date is going to get pushed back for about a year due to poor business. So while that's on the back burner, talking with a startup that's based in Austin they use AI to make the healthcare process and specifically with filing easier. So I'm excited to hopefully work on a burgeoning startup in Austin and with a team with people that I know and I'm very fond of. So I think I will learn a lot there. And hopefully one day I will go to law school and have to retake the LSAT after not doing too hot on my first 2 attempts. But I'm excited to, work for a little bit and then go back to school in a few years and learn some more things there. But that's kind of the plan right now. And I'm sure it will change very quickly as my life changes.
Potential Mike Ross in the future.
I hope to be more like a Harvey Specter. But
But I also think, as you're a major in politics, you're exploring, work that's, not necessarily in that sort of field. And I think it shows how you can always explore aspects that are away from your major, even though you spent 4 years doing it. Just find whatever you're passionate in.
Yeah, that's a great point. Going to a good school gives you the privilege of being able to study whatever you want and still, people still want to hire you. And you can really study what you want to study while also pursue a career that is different. Going into politics is not the most lucrative career, and it can be challenging in terms of sustaining yourself economically. So being able to study that without having to worry about, not being able to get a job was something that definitely a privilege. Of course, I recommend studying something that you're passionate about, but also being realistic about whether or not you sustain yourself and continue doing what you love after graduating.
Did you know you wanted to be a politics major going into college?
No, I had no idea what I wanted to be. I thought I wanted to be econ major, and I wanted to study Spanish still. And but once I came to Princeton, I took a politics class on international relations, and that really blew my mind. It's all about how countries decide how to go to war and how do countries figure out how to make peace and things like that. And ever since I took that class, I knew I wanted to try out the SPIA route, and SPIA and politics were very close. And I ended up really loving my politics classes, and that's how it came to be. But definitely didn't plan it.
And I think a lot of high schoolers face that. They're passionate in so many different aspects, but they don't know what they want to spend their 4 years of their life studying. And I think it just shows an example that over time, you'll find out what you want to end up doing.
Yeah, if you keep trying new things, then you'll have a better shot of finding what you want to do rather than just taking things that you're comfortable with.
Yeah. So in the end, is there one piece of advice you'd like to leave our audience with today?
Yeah, I think it's been I've been saying it implicitly and a couple times explicitly throughout this talk. And I think it's try as many things you can, push yourself out of your comfort zone, and really build good relationships, be resourceful. People are there to help you, and people are what are the aspects that's going to make everything you do fulfilling and valuable. So really invest yourself into being part of the community and doing things that you're passionate about. And the only way to figure out what you're passionate about is to try a lot of different things and meeting a lot of people. That's the case in high school and also in college, and I expect it to be the exact same when I graduate. So hopefully it's helpful. Yeah, I love giving back. So thanks, Adriana, for having me on the podcast.
Thank you for joining us today. So our last segment, rapid fire questions.
All right.
Okay. If you had an intro song, what would it be?
We Are the Champions.
ACT or SAT?
SAT.
Trumpet or singing?
Singing.
If you could play an instrument, what would you play?
Electric guitar.
Okay. Thank you for joining us for those fast, rapid questions. And thank you for joining us on the podcast today so that more students can learn about your story and achievements.
Thanks, Adriana. Good luck with the rest of the podcast.
I wish you the best of luck in your last month of Princeton. I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks, and good luck in high school.
Thanks. I'm Adriana Chan, and tune in next time to hear about our next alumni gracing our presence here on Alumni Angle. And thank you for listening.